various other organizations. Al-Qaeda in reality is a compilation. It's a compilation of various groups that fight under a religious context. You know, so Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb, these things, they brought them all in. And I spoke to people when I was in rebel-held Tripoli. I spoke to people from the Transitional Council side, and I told them that we were very concerned. We were very concerned about our lives while we were held up in the hotel, and they acknowledged my concerns and our concerns. And I said we really thought we were going to be beheaded or killed when they came in, when they would come in there. And what I was told is the Americans brought in Al-Qaeda. We don't want them here. The Americans have brought in the Islamists. It's them who control them, and they're the ones who brought them in. We don't want them. The Libyan people don't want them. And this was from the Transitional Council side. Now let me tell you something. Everybody there was concerned that the rebels, so-called rebels, would come and they would kill us. They weren't afraid of the so-called Gaddafi loyalists. They were afraid that the rebels would come. This says a lot. So when you are rooting for those guys and you're saying they're freedom fighters and revolutionaries and the good guys, why are you afraid of them when they will enter the facility? Of course, there can always be mistakes and misunderstandings, but they were genuinely afraid of them coming there. Okay, and that says a lot. You know, we were afraid of being beheaded. We were afraid that our lives were in danger. Now, I want to add something into this mix. The facts are we were left in the hotel. We believe the security left us, and for all intents and purposes, we didn't see them. But they were surrounding the hotel, and they were fighting. They were fighting against the insurgents or the rebels. So they didn't really leave, and I was under the understanding they left. And there were rebel snipers, and there were rebels attacking the hotel. You know, I almost got shot twice when I was making a makeshift sign saying press, and I put it on the roof of the hotel. You know, I almost got grazed. They didn't leave. They were defending the hotel. But you have to also understand that there was a real possibility that we could have been used as human shields by the government side. Maybe Gaddafi's sons, relatives, and government officials could have come in the hotel, and they could have used this as human shields. This was a very real possibility. And most of the journalists should know, because in their manuals or in their security briefings before they came, they were warned about things like this, like you could be used as human shields if they tell you, like, go to Gaddafi's going to have a conference and things like this. So they know this. Fox News, for example. This was in their security briefings, and the reporters and journalists were well aware of this. Anyways, this was a real possibility that this could happen, and there was legitimate concern about this, and I have to be honest about that. But I have to also be honest that the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, including the head honchos in the United States, also wanted to use us as bait. They wanted us to remain in the hotel, okay? Because the journalists were contacting their networks and their governments to get us out, and they were not responding, okay? One side possibly could have used us as human shields. The other side was definitely using us as bait to keep us there in case Gaddafi would be holed up or other regime officials. So that's the truth of the matter. And if it was not for former Congressman Fontroy and K. Paul, we would have never got the Red Cross in there to get us out. They saved us. So the former congressman was very instrumental to saving our lives, and I am indebted to him, as are many other people in there. Because when it came down to it, he saved our lives. He contacted various people around the world, including in the United States, at the highest levels. This man saved our lives. This man was there on a peace mission. This man is somebody I will always respect. This is somebody I consider a friend. This is who I stayed in the hotel with. This is somebody who looked out for me, and this is somebody I try to look out for. And I am mentioning this because this is a good man who needs credit. He is the one who got us out, and he was there on a mission of peace that if it was not for the United States, for the State Department and Hillary Clinton and NATO, that mission of peace, I am sure would have gone through. That mission of peace would have gone through if it were not for their greed.
Mm. Well, that's, I mean, just such an incredible story, and there are so many pieces to it. But I guess let's back up a little from the hotel incident, and let's go over some of those things that you'd mentioned about bombings of clinics and hospitals and things of that sort. Was there anything that you actually witnessed, or that you were there to document?
Well, yeah, I went to bombing sites. I saw the bombing sites. I saw hotels and restaurants bombed. You know, I saw the. I went to Gaddafi's home, which was bombed. It was Norwegian jets. You know, we think of the Scandinavian countries as very peaceful countries and progressive, but Norway is a part of NATO. Sweden also helped in this war. Of course, I witnessed the destruction. I've seen I saw people. I talked to the victims. Let me tell you, one man outside of Tripoli. His house was bombed. The international press went there. They recorded it. They know NATO bombed it. Then he saw the footage. And it caused a lot of psychological pain and trauma on this man. The footage said Gaddafi did this, and he was in Misrata. They lied about the location, and they lied about who did it. And Al Arabiya did it. Was the specific channel that started the lie. And he's taking them to court. I spoke to a man. I spoke to the victims of Sleaton. I saw the children. I was very upset. Those children's childhoods were robbed. They were stolen. They killed children there, and they traumatized them all. You know, in Tripoli, children were going to sleep late at night. A lot of them, their childhoods they've been scarred. You know, so many families have lost people. There's people who can't walk. There's people who've lost their eyesight. There's people whose dreams have been shattered. What do you think this has done for all the university students in Libya, or Libyans who were university students? It's put everything to a halt. Some of them had dreams of being engineers, doctors, lawyers, computer programmers, you know, sociologists, and they gave it all up to fight. You know, it's broken the society. It's turned it in on itself. It's caused psychological scars. It's magnified the existing cleavages in the country. Every country has cleavages. In Canada, we have cleavages between francophones and anglophones. We have regional cleavages. We have class-based cleavages. We have linguistic and ethnic. Well, I said linguistic. We have ethnic cleavages. You know, but every country has these. You know, and what they did in Libya is they magnified these and manipulated them. And they did cause a bit of an east-west schism in Libya. They caused, you know, one guy, and I told him not to say this. He would say, Lanat be Benghazi, okay? It means curse to Benghazi. You know, when these things happen, I said, no, those are Libyans, you know, and they're not all part of this, and they're not the main aggressors. Let me tell you, the Libyans were being manipulated on both sides. There was bad Libyans on both sides, but they were being manipulated. And a lot of the fighters who were Libyan, they're poor. I'm not saying this is a poor, rich thing, but they were regular, common people. The ordinary people suffer, while a lot of people that were in the leadership, like in the Transitional Council, their families weren't fighting. Their families were enjoying lavish lives in Western Europe or the United States or Canada, you know. That this is true of the regime side as well, but not as many. You know, they had a lot of their children fighting because they were fighting for their lives and their survival. So this is the horror of war. This is the tragedy of this war. You know, and I told them in Canada, Libyans here, and I told Libyans there in Libya and abroad. I said, "You're Libyans. Don't kill each other." You know, the media can brainwash you. If everybody around you hates, you get caught in a thing called groupthink. You know, it's a tunnel vision. It's a group constructed tunnel. You know, and I think they're caught in this. You know, because look what's happened to the country. Is one man and his family really worth destroying everything and all these lives being gone? You know, the Red Cross told me, if memory serves me correct, and I think it does, that 3,000 people in Tripoli in the span of 2 days died. Just 2 days of the bombings. This was mostly NATO, okay? And Tripoli looks like Kabul or Civil War Beirut. It's been demolished. You know, it's like Sarajevo, well, far worse than Sarajevo. They brought in Taliban-like characters, you know, and they spray painted the place. And there's more military checkpoints, security checkpoints now than there were before. What does that say? Whole areas, James, look like they went through an apocalypse. Areas I used to go through, rubble, stone, cracked, like destroyed. The buildings are gone. And I was driving through one area during sunset. It really looked like a Hollywood movie, like an apocalypse occurred, like Escape from New York or something. Destroyed. And you see guys in trucks yelling, God is great, Allah Akbar. Okay? God is great, yes, but what do you have to say for your actions here? Like, look at all the destruction, you know. You know, I'm not agreeing with you on your views. I'm not disagreeing with you about your views, but you look at the carnage in this country, the rape. There was massive rape there, okay? And I'll tell you very frankly that I believe that foreigners were deliberately fueling the fighting on both sides, okay? There were snipers firing at both sides, okay? This was also occurring in Tunisia, and this is also occurring in Syria, okay? To fuel the hate and the animosity, okay? They were doing atrocious acts, you know? Atrocious acts that would ingrain and entrench hate in the hearts of people. Women were gang raped, okay, and then their genitalia and their bodies would, they'd be cigarette burns all over them, and they cut their breasts off, okay? They break their noses, they beat and rape them in the most horrific and gruesome way. You know, a little boy, for example, and I know about the little boy before I stepped to Libya, so I'm telling you something I know prior. He had a pole inserted through his testicles and out his shoulders. You know, these acts were designed to create hate, okay? And the beheadings, while I was there, the beheadings were terrible. And arms were cut off, and, you know, like very satanic stuff. That's the best way I could put it. I can't, they're cutting people's throats and stuff like that. That is not right. That is not human. Prisoners were being killed.